Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beat's back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins. Can't relax. Original.
And welcome to this Wednesday edition of the NHL Daily Betting Preview Show, Pucks Across Borders, live on Pucks Across Borders YouTube and Total Apex Sports on X. Good to be back. Haven't been here since Friday. Life is what it is. We get busy, but we apologize. Lots to get into from Friday night all the way through the weekend, all the way through the week so far. And we'll get to all of it. What was it? 8 games last night, 9 games last night, 5 games tonight. We'll get to it all. We'd like to remind everybody that this show is brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Right now with our promo code Sports Addict, get 10% off your order. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off tons and tons of cards. And with our promo code Sports Addict, not only do you get 10% off of regular priced items, but sales items as well. That's up to 60% off your order on selected cards with our promo code Sports Addict. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today. Promo code Sports Addict for 10% off your order. Firstroundcollectibles.com. Before we get into everything, Andre, how you feeling, man? It's good to see you. It's been a minute.
Has been a minute. It's good to see you. It's good to be back. January's almost over. Crazy how that works, but
yep,
here we are. Another day of hockey.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's weird though. Like, this probably could be said for every month, but a lot of people I talk to, myself included, to be honest, are like, yeah, okay, it's almost February, but also it feels like January's been like 70 days long at the same time. Like, it feels like it's been 2025 for a while. Like, I feel like we've been in this mode for a while. Like I said, 5 games to get into later on tonight. Quickly, we will go over last night, and then we got a lot to get into from the weekend that was. Buffalo stomps the Bruins 7-2 last night. Jets go into the Bell Center in Montreal, win 4-1. The Blackhawks go to Tampa Bay and leave with a 4-1 win. Hurricanes blank the Rangers 4-0. Islanders at home, nonetheless, beat the Avalanche 5-2. The Capitals beat the Flames 3-1. Stars, I'm telling you, every time these two teams get together, the Stars beat the Golden Knights 4-3 in overtime. It's just always a battle. Like, it always is by one goal. Almost always goes to overtime. I just wrote a piece for the Hockey Writers about how this is the Western Conference final that we all deserve. And don't get me wrong, I'd love to see Winnipeg there. And I'm not saying that I think Dallas and Vegas are going to be in the Western Conference final. We'll get into predictions in a couple months from now. I'm just saying, if these two teams made it to the conference final, that's a guaranteed 7-gamer. And it would just be an absolute battle. Last game of the night last night, the Ducks beating the Kraken 6-4. We'll get into whatever it is that you want to talk about, Andre. But we haven't been on the show since Friday, and I'm gonna say, for those of you who don't know, but if you watch this show, it means that you either like the NHL or you like gambling, or both. And regardless, I'm assuming that you've heard the news by now. The Mikko Rantanen trade, Moose, as they call him, So again, just to recap, I'm sure everyone's heard a lot about this by now, but we haven't talked about it. So we're going to get into it a little bit here. Mikko Rantanen, Taylor Hall, and Nils Juntorp. Is that how you pronounce that? I believe so. Traded to Carolina. The Avalanche get Jack Drury, Martin Nikish, a second-round pick in 2025, a fourth-round pick in 2026. The Chicago Blackhawks get a third-round pick and retain 50% of Rantanen's salary. I have a lot of thoughts on this, and we haven't had an opportunity to talk about it. But first, Andre, what was your reaction? And now that you've had 4 or 5 days to kind of chew on it, where are you at? The Colorado Avalanche, that's your pick to go to the Stanley Cup final, man. How do you feel about this trade now that we've had a few days to kind of sit on it?
Yeah, weird. If you're looking at Colorado side of things, it was unexpected. You heard that from the captain himself and best player on the team. So that's the first sign. Second of all, Rantanen said he was willing to take a pay cut to stay with Colorado. Obviously, a big part of the team is a team that's trying to contend now and for the future. So it seems like for them, this was a move that signals, one, Cale Makar is going to get the absolute bag. He's going to get the Brinks truck, as he should. Cale Makar is an absolute monster. Two, there's probably another move coming for this team because I doubt they just give without, taking something significant as they try to, win another cup. So obviously they did get Martin Nikish back. Good player. But there's more. There's more, right? Besides just the cleared money for Makar's future contract, there should be more coming from the Avs. Kind of just doing this out of nowhere, though. Kind of a weird move. They're throwing themselves in the circus of the year contention with the Rangers and Canucks, and that's not really where you want to be. But they're in a much better position to pull out of it, so good for them. The Blackhawks, they're there, I guess. They got something out of this. Okay, whatever. The Carolina Hurricanes, they got two good players. Obviously, Rantanen, absolute monster. Back-to-back 40-goal seasons, right? 100 points, I think, in both of those years, too. He obviously won a cup with Colorado a couple years ago. I guess that was 2023. Okay, I was about to say, was that 3 years ago at this point? I think it was only 2. But he won a cup with Colorado. That's the important part.
No, that would have been 3 years ago because Florida won last year. Vegas won the year after that or before that.
Time moves. Really
I know,
fast.
dude. It's crazy.
Okay, so my apologies. So he won a cup with Colorado. That's the important part. It was 3 years ago. This 2020 is continuing to this day. He should help them out. They obviously he picked up his first point yesterday. Taylor Hall picked up his first point yesterday too as the Carolina Hurricane. They won that game pretty handily, 4-0. Really good start for them, especially after an OT loss to the Islanders a couple days before that, which is not really the way you want to bring in your new team. But no, they made their mark. They got a win. They're in the building, 3 points in 2 games. Pretty good. The problem for me with this trade, it feels a lot like something we've seen from Carolina before. Specifically, last year, they traded for Gensel. It was supposed to take him over the top. They were hoping to bring him back and keep him for longer too. What ended up happening is it did not take them any further than they'd ever been. Jake Gensel ended up going to Tampa in free agency, so they didn't even keep him. And this is a team, it just reeks of pretty much the same thing. I will never fault a team for trying. I commend Carolina for consistently making the big moves, trying to win the cup, get over the hump, whatever. At the same time, I'm not really moved because this is a team that we've seen for years now. Their ceiling is 8 wins in the playoffs. There's their ceiling. They're not going to win more than that. For whatever reason, their heads fall off. They don't win more than 8 games. That's not bad. Getting to the second round is not easy. At the same time, it takes 16 to win a cup. They're halfway there. I don't know if they're going to cross that bridge to get to the other half. I don't know if, Gensel was supposed to get them over the bridge last year. He didn't do it. I'm not convinced that Rantanen and Hall will do it this year. I'm just not. I think they're a good team. I think they're going to easily clear 100 points again. They're going to easily make the playoffs again. Brandon will be a good player. He will perform in the playoffs for them. But that hasn't really been the issue. It hasn't been the guys they traded for not coming through. It hasn't even been the top line guys not coming through. It's just been the team, especially on the back end, not finishing. So, again, Taylor Hall, solid player still, even though he's on the wrong side of 30. He will probably produce more because he's not a Blackhawk. He will contribute. He will be there as well. I don't think it's a bad trade by any means. But when it comes to this Carolina team, until I see them win a game in the conference finals at some point with this core, it's not going to move the needle for me. And I'm not only am I not convinced, I feel pretty confident that Rantanen's not going to be a Carolina Hurricane next year. So you're giving up a lot. Again, these moves add up in the long haul. And if you're not going to win more than 8 games in the spring, it's kind of a waste.
Yeah. What's funny is I didn't even really think about it from a playoff success standpoint. And I think that is a reasonable thing to go back to because Carolina, very successful team, always winning at least a playoff round, sometimes 2, right? They've been to the conference final multiple times over the last however many seasons. So it's a good point that you're making there. I just think on the surface, I think it's a bit disrespectful to say that Colorado got robbed, but I think Carolina won this trade by a landslide. To me, Nikic, he's a good player, but to me, and I know he has 1 year left on his deal, but I kind of look at this from and again, because I'm a self-centered, Torontonian or however you say it. I look at it if the Leafs traded Mitch Marner for Martin Nikic, which is basically the same situation, right? Rantanen is his contract expired, like you said that he would take a pay cut and this blah blah blah. But Rantanen, 64 points in 49 games this year, 25 goals, 39 assists, 42 goals, 104 points last year, 55 goals, 105 points the year before that, 36 goals, 92 points the year before that. Then you had the 2 shortened years because of COVID. He has 66 points in 52 games, 30 goals, 41 points in 42 games, 19 goals. Then 87 points, 31 goals in 18-19, 84 points, 29 goals in 17-18. That is crazy good production. Clearly, constantly going up. And that is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of just over point a game production. Then you go to Martin Nikic, who 59 points this year. He's had a very good season. There's no question about that. 16 goals. Last year, 77 games, he had 24 goals, 53 points, 28 goals, 71 points, 14 goals, 40 points. Then in the shortened years, 14 goals, 40 points, 14 goals, 41. And then going back to 1920, he had 16 goals and 36 points. So that's not even close. He's had a really good year. But this year is not what we've seen from this player over the course of his career. I'm not saying that he won't get there. I'm not saying that at all. But if you're just comparing resume for resume, like it's not even close. And like Jack Drury is a good player. And you got like what did I say? You got a second round pick and a fourth round pick. Like, I don't know, man. To me, it just feels like now, that being said, Rantanen did have a 9-team, like, no trade clause. So your options are limited. And I have no doubt that this was the best that they were going to get for him. To me, I wonder if you're better off because he's getting paid what, like $9 million or something like that. I just wonder, and listen, I'm not in the head office. I'm not a general manager. I obviously they thought about all of these things that I'm saying. I'm like, they know what they're doing. We hope. And I'm not saying that. All I'm saying, maybe they don't. All I'm saying is, as a Colorado Avalanche fan, and clearly McKinnon and Bednar, like the coach was shocked too, which to me, like, I don't know, in 2025, don't all these big time moves go through your star players? Or at least they know about it. Like you tell McKinnon, like, hey, just so you know, this is what's in the works. Like, I don't know. Like for them to be, but anyway, if you're on the Avalanche or you're an Avalanche fan, I feel like I would rather Rantanen stay for the course of the playoffs, see what damage you do, and if he walks, and you have $9 million to make a move. That's what I feel. And because Rantanen, like once again, like Martin Nikic is a really good player, but Rantanen is like superstar level. And that doesn't get appreciated because he is with McKinnon and Cale Makar, right? But Rantanen is legit 2 straight 100-point seasons, a 90-point seasons, a couple 80-point seasons earlier in his career. Like his first year, he had 38 points in 70-something games. Other than that, in a non-COVID shortened season, he gets 80 plus points every year. Like to me, it's just not apples for apple. Like I don't know, man. I just feel like Colorado got robbed. Again, getting robbed isn't fully. When it comes to the Chicago of it all, you got a 3rd round draft pick and took 50% of the salary. It's kind of whatever. But for Carolina, to me, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying, and I probably feel the same. I just think like Rantanen is, in my opinion, no disrespect to Aho, no disrespect to anybody else on that roster, no disrespect to Jake Gensel, who they got last year. Rantanen is now the best player that has played on that team in years. Like, I think he is the best player on that team now, and they haven't had a player like him in a long time. Now, there's guys like, Ron Francis and Rod Brendamore. I'm not going to go all time or say anything crazy here, but I don't know, man. If you have a chance to add Rantanen, you add Rantanen and let the chips fall where they may. I don't know. If I'm a Colorado fan, I'm pretty upset, to be honest.
Yeah, fair. I mean, point per game players don't grow on trees. And Rantanen, Makar, and McKinnon, they had a chance for one more run at a cup, and now they don't. And I'm right there with you. I think if I were a Colorado player, Colorado fan, even if I was in that front office, not necessarily the GM, I probably would have leaned towards keeping Rantanen. I think you're trying to win right now, and he's a better option. He's the best option towards that goal. Carolina, obviously, do what you got to do. You pull the trigger. You get a point per game player. You get a guy capable of 100 plus points.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Again, after everything I said, not faulting Carolina whatsoever. I love and applaud effort towards trying to win in every sport, in any situation. They are a very good team. They're a very talented team. They have been for quite some time. It's just, what is everybody else going to do? Because yes, he is better than Jane Kensel. At the same time, Jane Kensel had 4 points in the first 3 games of their second round series last year, 3 goals and an assist, and they were down 0-3. If Mikko Rantanen produces 4 points in the first 3 games of their second round series this year, and they're down 0-3, it's not Mikko Rantanen's fault. It's not Jake Gensel's fault. So yes, you get this star player, in this case a superstar, as you call them, rightfully so, a 100-point guy. But everyone else has to fall into place. You can't just expect him to walk in the door, do his thing all regular season as he does, come in the playoffs, still do his thing, and that's going to carry you through. Everyone else has to step up yet again. That's what we need from this Carolina team. The goal for them is a championship. It has been for a few years. And again, yes, they've made the conference finals twice in the past, 6 years, 5 years, whatever.
Yep.
They got swept both times.
That's fair.
You have to do something more. And maybe this is the year. 31 teams. It's not easy. I'm not saying maybe, Brandon does get them over the hump. But if you're in that locker room, if you're that fan base, if you're that organization, you can't be satisfied with just Brandon. That's what I'm trying to say, I think.
Yeah, and I do think too this year, and I think all these teams should feel this way. Like, I think the Leafs should feel this way. I think that the Capitals should feel this way. The Hurricanes should feel this way. Obviously, I would say that the Rangers should feel this way. Their season's gone, and I'm not counting them out, but their season's gone a little bit sideways. But all these top teams, even Florida, right? Even like, obviously I don't consider them, but even a team like Ottawa, like all these teams should feel like this. The Eastern Conference, we all saw Florida coming all year last year. The year before that, yes, Florida wasn't coming. They miraculously survived the first round against Boston and went on this Cinderella run to the conference final. But Boston's not a juggernaut. The Rangers are not a juggernaut. Tampa is not a juggernaut. I would even say Florida. They don't look like a juggernaut right now. Maybe they're pulling, a Patriots or Kansas City Chiefs and just get into the playoffs and then turn the switch on. But there are no true juggernauts where you watch a team every night and you say that team is going to the Stanley Cup final. Like, the Eastern Conference is wide open right now. So if you're Carolina, and again, I don't disagree with you at all. I just think if you're Carolina, you add Rantanen, and like, why not this year? Like, this is the best year probably to take your shot and to make a run. And Washington, man, like in their own division, Washington, like, okay, we're going to talk about the Eastern Conference here in a minute, because I got some thoughts about that, but that's just my take is like, there's no real like juggernaut right now in this conference. So you might as well add Rantanen and see what happens. To your point though, on the Colorado side, I'm really curious to what else they do here. Cause I don't think, I know that McKinnon, I think Connor McDavid's the best player in the league. If you told me that Nathan McKinnon was the best player in the league, how do you argue that? Like, they're both 1A, like they're both right there. Obviously Makar, like I expect, Nikish to be a much higher point producer playing with Nathan McKinnon. Like, you would expect that to happen. That being said, I think he's a significant downgrade from what Rantanen was. And also, I'm super sad that on the radio calls, I'm not going to hear the Colorado Avalanche radio call go, choo choo, the moose is loose. Like, I love those calls, man. The moose is loose in overtime. Like, it's classic stuff, and I'm gonna miss it all. And it's super sad day from that standpoint. All right, moving on. any final thoughts with the Rantanen trade? Again, I know it happened a few days ago, but our first opportunity to talk about. I don't know. I feel bad. Like McKinnon looked like not happy. And that's a hard thing to put your superstar, because he just extended. And now his right-hand man is out the door.
Yeah, to not tell him, not even like a text, like, hey, this might happen. In the year 2025, it's kind of wild. I'm sorry, they're in Minnesota. That's kind of crazy. It's kind of front office malpractice. That's something you'd expect from a dysfunctional organization.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Last night, I just want to hear your quick thought on this. We don't got to talk about it too long. But last night, Miro Heiskanen for the Dallas Stars got I don't even know, what do you call that? Like he didn't get hit. He got tripped by Mark Stone's head. Mark Stone dove at a puck, took out Miro Heiskanen at his legs. Heiskanen did not look good, went straight off the ice. We have no update on his return. If this was the NFL, by the way, we would know by now, but the NHL just takes its sweet time, and that's a conversation for another day. But did not look good. At first glance, it looked dirty. You watch it a few more times. What were your thoughts on it, man? Because as someone who covers the Dallas Stars, whether it's Dallas media actually isn't really taking it too bad. It's the fans. Like, Twitter is on fire. Like, Mark Stone should not even be allowed to look at a rink. Like a restraining order on all rinks, 50 miles radius. What do you think about the hit? What do you think about the play? What do you think? I haven't heard anything about a hearing or suspension. He got like a 2-minute penalty, which I agreed with. Coach Pete DeBoer for the Stars said he didn't understand why it wasn't 5 minutes so that they could review it, because that's the rule, right? You call 5 minutes and then you can review it and downgrade it down to a 2-minute. But you can't upgrade a 2-minute up to a 5. So he didn't understand why it wasn't called a 5 so they could review it. But other than that, I haven't really heard anything about a hearing or suspension or nothing like that. It wasn't a knee on knee. It was a really bizarre play. How did you see it?
Yeah, I know some people, they're going to be like, a stick got in. I don't think that stick did anything. It looked like Kirby Joseph flying in to hit a tight end and take out his ACL, honestly. And I'm not saying that in a complimentary way. It was rough. Obviously, you don't think or expect that somebody, or especially a professional athlete, who could have that very same thing happen to them. You don't think that's on purpose, right? So I'm not going to sit here and say that was intentional. I think he was, trying to make a hustle hockey play, go for the puck, whatever. But it was bad. It was really bad. He just straightened to his knee like that. There's no place for that. You can't do that. So he deserves a punishment. I agree with Coach DeBoer. That should have been at least called a major so it could be reviewed. Yeah, it was just ugly. It's not really something you want to see on the ice. So I don't think, again, I don't think he got tripped. I don't think that tiny little stick was enough to do what Stone ended up doing. And it was just an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, Mark Stone, and they showed it on the broadcast that right away he looked at the iPad or whatever it was and saw, and you could see him not like laughing, but just kind of like smiling, being like, he tripped me. And it's like, I don't know, like, did he know that at the time? Like, I feel like that's one of those things where he got back to the bench and looked at it, I was like, oh, there's a stick. Yeah, duh, he tripped me. Like, he clearly pushed off and lunged. Like, it wasn't, you don't get tripped or a stick goes in the way and all of a sudden your trajectory changes 90 degrees. Like, it doesn't really work like that. So to me, the idea that he was tripped, I don't agree with that at all. I think that's ridiculous. Do I think that it was intentional that he tried taking Heiskanen out at his knees? No, I agree with you 100%. I think Mark Stone is a hardworking guy. He doesn't quit on plays. I think that the play just got away from him and he was trying his best to finish the play. And that was to dive after the puck. I do think, in the moment, it's hard. Sometimes, like, your momentum and you're going and you're like one-tracked mind. Looking back, it was a stupid play. Like, you look at it and it's like, what are you doing? Like, I think it was a stupid play. It was clearly a dangerous play. I don't know if it's suspendable. Is it finable? I don't know. Like, it wasn't a knee on knee. Again, I don't think it was intentionally malicious. But intent, this is the age-old like debate, right? Like, how much does intent matter? Like, if you kill someone accidentally, like driving or something, I know that's a really bad example, but you know what I mean? Like, how much does intent really matter? Like, if you do it, you do it. Like, I don't know. Do you think a suspension? I don't. It won't be happening, but it's just a really bizarre play. And I can't really recall, like I said, it's not a knee on knee. It's not a behind the back. Like, it's just a really bizarre play and unnecessary. And I will say this really quickly. From a Dallas Stars perspective, like, Heiskanen, the more I watch this team, and there are issues on the power play or whatever, this guy plays 27 minutes a night. And, just the way he moves the puck and how much he does everything but penalty kill. Lots of people in Dallas media think that he's like their best all-around player. If he's out for any significant time, it's a really, really big deal. Like, a really, really big deal. And the big debate is, do you add a defenseman at the deadline? Do you add a forward at the deadline? And now it's like, well, now you have to do something on the blue line, which will be hard to do. What do you think?
It's just, I don't know. It's a tough spot to be in. It's a tough replacement. What do you do? Because you're in the thick of a division race. You're in the thick of a playoff chase. And, you have to deal with something like that. They got to find an answer quick. It's the best I got.
Yeah. And the good news is, you do have, I think there's like 4 or 5 games left before the Four Nations, and that gives you 2 weeks off. So that is the good news, is you're guaranteed 2 weeks without playing. It sucks. Like, and this is a whole other conversation. Like, if this was the Olympics, I think I'd feel worse about it. Him not playing for Finland for the Four Nations is like, it sucks, and it sucks for the product. The tournament doesn't really matter. Like, it's more of like just trying to see what you have for the Olympics, right? But if he's healthy, he's a guaranteed lock on that Olympic team next year. So, Pietrangelo, that's another big thing, is he backed out of the tournament and he said it sucks because he wanted to play and whatever. So that just sucks. For me, it's about the product on the ice. Like Miro, like he just makes the product better. So that's unfortunate as well. All right. 5 games to get to tonight. 3 of them start in 15 minutes. So let's yeah, let's just get into the 3 games and then I don't know. Maybe we'll talk. Maybe we'll just, I don't know. We'll see what we do. Whatever. We can do whatever we want. Here we go. Going into tonight, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Oh, no, that's wrong. I mean, it's right, but it's later. All right. Yes, the Minnesota Wild are in Toronto. That's another thing that happened. Kirill Kaprizov out 4 to 6 weeks after having surgery. That sucks for this guy, man. Such a good player and just cannot stay healthy. And this happens to the Wild every single year. Like every year, they have really important players go down with injury. It sucks. But they're in Toronto tonight, plus 134 are the Wild on the road. The Maple Leafs minus 162 at home. Minus 1.5 for the Maple Leafs is plus 156. Plus 1.5 for the Wild is minus 194. The over 5.5 minus 120, and the under is minus 102. What do you got, bro? Wild Buds in Toronto.
Yeah, I'm taking the Toronto puck line all the way, and it's just really simple for me. I know your boys 2 straight games, only 1 goal scored. It's been kind of rough lately. I don't think that's going to continue though. They had been buzzing the 3 games before that, and you're talking about a Minnesota Wild team again without Kaprizov. I know they just beat the Blackhawks 4-2, but it's the Chicago Blackhawks. They had lost 2 in a row before that. They had lost 3 of the 4 before that. In a lot of those games, the offense wasn't doing much. A lot of those games, they give up 4+ goals. It's been a rough stretch for them, understandably so. And I think it's going to continue. This Leafs team is really good. This Leafs team's playing for something. This Leafs team's been better all season. Even when both teams are at full strength. So I'm going to take Toronto minus 1.5 here. I'm going to take the over here. I think the Leafs in particular are going to bounce back offensively, have 4 or 5 of their own, and they're going to win by multiple goals.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. Yeah, like we started a little bit late and we were going to talk about this at some point tonight, maybe later in the show or maybe tomorrow, whatever. We'll figure it out. Excuse me. But this game is really important for Toronto. Really important. Just quickly putting this out there. Joseph Woll and Philip Gustafson in net tonight for their respective clubs. This game is really important for Toronto. Toronto, just pulling this back up here. 5-5 in their last 10. Minnesota 4-6 in their last 10. Minnesota won in overtime the other meeting early in November. Toronto 62 points. 1 point up at Florida. Florida is playing the Los Angeles Kings in Florida. That's the next game that we're going to talk about. One point up on Florida. And what's interesting to me, and again, this is a larger conversation, but why this game is so important for Toronto is Ottawa, with their recent stretch, excuse me, they have 56 points. We're celebrating this team getting into a wild card spot, and now they're 6 points behind the division lead. The Boston Bruins, who are a disaster, but they have 56 points as well. Tampa Bay Lightning, 55 points. The Columbus Blue Jackets, 55 points. The Detroit Red Wings, who are currently 2 spots out of a wild card spot, are 9 points back of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, I'm not saying that the Leafs are in danger of falling out of the playoffs. I'm just saying, and I'm not saying that. Let's just get that clear. I'm not saying they're going to miss the playoffs, nothing like that. I'm just saying it kind of felt like Toronto, Florida, 1 and 2 was kind of home and cooled off. They got teams on their tails, man. Now Boston, they can't really win, and they got pumped by Buffalo last night. But you know what I mean? Like Toronto needs to get back to that number 1 style of play. They got to figure it out. Now, they've had injuries. Tavares has been out. We all know Matthews. He's been out for large stretches throughout the season. Matthew Nyes was out for a while. Obviously, Stolars hasn't played in over a month. That's a big deal. But this is a really important game for Toronto. And all these games are leading up to the Four Nations to kind of pad their distance between them and the teams behind them. I'm right there with you. I think Toronto bounces back tonight. I think they win by multiple goals. This Minnesota team, they've won enough that their playoff stability is probably okay. But they just haven't been playing well. Having Kaprizov out again. Have you seen if anybody else of significance is out? Because I know that Eriksson Ek has had his moments out of the roster. I think Spurgeon's back now. I haven't seen if they have any other big injuries. I don't know if you've seen.
For the Wild, I'm seeing obviously Kaprizov, Brodin, Johansson, and Grosnick are all out. But I mean, the other three have been out. Well, Grosnick's been out since October 1st. He's out for the year. But Brodin and Johansson have been out for like 2 weeks at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, Brodin is a really, really good player, so that's a big loss too. So I think that this is a really good spot for Toronto to bounce back, -1.5. Much like I do with the Winnipeg Jets, I'm going to go on that same train with the Toronto Maple Leafs, 2+ points. For Mitch Marner, +158. For Austin Matthews, +162. A nice long shot is William Nylander, +220. Willie, 4+ shots on goal, -102. I love that. Austin Matthews is -130. Austin Matthews looks like he's back to his normal self, which is great to see at -110 for him to score. Nylander +152. One of my favorite long shots for the Wild, he's on my fantasy roster and he's had a great year, is Marco Rossi. He's +330 to score tonight. All right. These next two games start in 8 minutes, so we'll fly through it. The Los Angeles Kings, man, time flies by when you're talking about Rantanen, does it? The Los Angeles Kings are in Florida, +126 on the road are the Kings. It's now up to +128. Panthers -154 at home. -1.5 for the Panthers is +168. +1.5 for the Kings is -210. The over is 5.5 at +108, and the under is -132. What do you got, Kings, Panthers?
Yeah, sorry. Over here. This may come as a bit of a surprise, but for the second time in 7 days, I'm taking the Los Angeles Kings over the Florida Panthers. And I know the Kings have been struggling lately, but it's really their offense that's just non-existent, especially here on the road. I think that changes. This Panthers team has been mad inconsistent lately. They're back home, which, it may help them. Then again, it may not. They're 13-9-2 at home. It's not like they've been killing it at home. It really just feels like an uninterested team. And night to night, you don't know what you're going to get from them. Offensively or defensively, I trust the Kings to, at the very least, keep this Panthers team under to 3 or fewer goals. I think they can compete with that. I think they can come out on top. So give me the Kings money line.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I to be truthful, I really just want to take the under and call it a day. Like, that's kind of where I lean here. Is just both these teams, pretty tight defensively. Both goaltenders are having good seasons. I mean, Kemper has been phenomenal for them. Bobrovsky a little bit more on not full Bobrovsky like. I believe Bobrovsky's starting tonight. It might be Spencer Knight, who's had an okay season himself as well. It is Bobrovsky. So I kind of lean just take the under. It's minus 132, a little bit juicy. Just take the under and call it a day. But I do agree with you. I like the Kings on that money line plus 128. It was really interesting, that game against the Panthers the other day. Panthers were up 1-0 for the majority of that game. Third period, Kings come alive, 2-1 win, and they take the win home. So I'm right there with you, Kings on the money line, but the under is my favorite play of the game. Moving on to Philadelphia in New Jersey. I guess our best bets is going to have to be with the 2 late games, because in retrospect we should have done these games at the beginning, but it's just the day I've had today, bro. It is what it is. No big deal. Philadelphia, New Jersey minus 184. Flyers plus 152, minus 1.5 for the Devils, plus 142, plus 1.5 for the Flyers, minus 176. The over 5.5, minus 115. Under is minus 105. I'll just get this out of the way. I trust Philly right now, and I don't trust the Devils right now. And I know it's at home. And I know Philly is probably the least trustworthy team. But if we're just talking about, recent trends, I don't like what I'm seeing from the Devils right now. And I think plus 152 is way too high. And I'll take the bait. Philadelphia plus 152. What do you got?
Interesting game. These teams have met twice this month. The Flyers won both times, and the Flyers won 3 in a row against the Devils. Like you, I don't really trust either team. You look at Jersey, obviously Markstrom's out now, but even before then they were struggling a little bit, and they're just kind of, they lost that game to Philly, they lost to Ottawa, Philly, Toronto, and Florida all in a row not long before that. Not playing well, home or away, and it's just troubling. It's really troubling. They're a team to watch for in the standings. Maybe fall into a wild card if Columbus can keep the pressure on and catch up.
Yeah, man.
The Flyers are just so inconsistent, and it's hard to tell. But they seem to play up for these games. Tortorella hates the Devils. Philly hates Jersey. I like the Flyers here too. I don't really feel confident in this. This is probably more of a stay away for me. But I'm going to trust the Flyers to win a 4th straight against the Devils, and I'm going to take the over at 5.5 yet again. Last game, which was 2 days ago, was a 4-2 game. So give me over 5.5. Give me the Flyers.
Absolutely love it. For those of you, so yeah, puck drop is in 2 minutes for the first 2 games, and 3 minutes for this game we're talking about. Both of us are taking Toronto minus 1.5. Both of us are taking the Kings, and both of us are taking the Philadelphia Flyers. Enjoy those games. All right, moving on to the later stretch. I don't know if I've ever seen this before. So, as we all know, these games don't start on the hour. They never do. It's 7:10, 7:09, 10:40, whatever. It's never 10:30, and it's never 10. It's 10:40 or 10:10. The game we're going to talk about in a little bit, not quite yet, but Pittsburgh and Utah. That's a 9:52 start. Have you ever seen 9:52? Have you ever seen that?
No, I was going to ask you about that. I was wondering if they were doing some special pregame ceremony.
Maybe
unveiling their new name, since Yeti isn't going to work. No, never seen anything like that. The closest thing I can think of is during baseball season when the Blue Jays decide that their first pitch is 7:07 instead of 7:05.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. 2 minutes off. Got to be different.
Yeah. Everything the Blue Jays do is stupid. So and that doesn't really matter what the topic is. Speaking of the Utah Hockey Club with the new names and stuff, I haven't had time to read it. I literally got the notification on my phone that Elliot Friedman just wrote an article about how there's now 3 names left on the docket. Do you know what they are? Have you seen it? I haven't seen it yet. I know Yeti's out because they're in talks with the company Yeti for the copyrights and stuff. But have you seen what the three names are?
Yes. If my memory serves correct, it's between the Mammoth, the Hockey Club, and the Wasatch. And the Wasatch, that's a mountain range in Utah. So,
Oh,
yeah, it's not good.
the Wasatch. That's too niche, man. You
I
gotta
might be
make it.
pronouncing it wrong, but it's still not good.
Well, whatever. You pronounce it right or wrong. That's too niche. You gotta come up with something that I don't need to Google what it is. You know what I mean? Like the Minnesota Wild. Like I think Wild is like what is a wild? Like it's just the Wild. Like it's just the wild. Like their logo is literally just trees. Like it's just a while. I think that's kind of dumb too. But it's like okay, I don't know, kind of grows on you, I suppose. But the Wasatch, like I literally, my next question was, what is that? And you knew, which is impressive.
I know.
That's impressive. Maybe it's an American thing. Maybe every real American knows what the Wasatch is. But and I mean, I'm half American. I got lots of family in the States. I got family in the military. You know, I bleed blue and red, but don't know what Wasatch is.
I had no idea what the Wasatch was until I discovered that name and looked it up for myself. My girlfriend's from Colorado. I asked her if she'd ever heard of Wasatch before today, but I have a feeling the answer is going to be no. I looked at a map though, and it goes through all of the things that I guess Utah qualifies as a city: Logan, Salt Lake City, and Provo.
So it's a big deal in Utah.
Yeah. So locally, it's a hit.
Yeah.
Nationally and internationally, you're not going to sell merch in Japan or England. This is Wasatch. It's the bottom line.
That's what I mean.
It's
like,
very clearly targeted for the city and nobody.
That's what I mean. And
else.
Yeah, and I appreciate the local touch, but like it doesn't necessarily roll off the tongue either, right? Like what I don't understand, remember last year when we talked about this back when John loved us still and we would talk about this. There was like 9 names or whatever. There's a bunch of names. Outlaw.
You did love Outlaws.
The Utah Outlaw. That's way better than Mammoth. Then what is it? I already forgot. The Wasatch. Yeah, better than that. Better than Hockey Club. Although the more I hear Hockey Club, it kind of grows on you a little bit, I suppose. But what's wrong? Like Venom is kind of weird. Although I did see Venom 2 the other day. Haven't seen the first one. Don't really care about comic book movies, but I'll tell you what, it was really funny. I enjoyed it. Venom 2. Shout out. But Outlaws. The Utah Outlaws. Like I think that's dope. I don't know. A Yeti, that one I don't even understand that one either. I'm glad that the Yeti is being petty and won't let go of the copyright or won't let them do their thing. But what's wrong with Outlaw? I think it's dope.
I don't. They pick the worst options. They've just consistently picked the worst options. And you might be fine with Hockey Club and it's growing on you. I'm not fine with Hockey Club. I'm tired of saying Hockey Club. I got tired of saying football team, even though I thought it was hilarious because that franchise has been comically inept at football for 20 years. The Hockey Club isn't much better. Arizona or Utah or Phoenix, they were places before that too. Never been good at hockey. You don't deserve Hockey Club.
Yeah, it does kind of make me mad that whatever his name was kept the copyright for Coyotes, because like Utah Coyotes, I think would have been fine. Like those.
I understand that pettiness though. If you got a team ripped from you,
yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, I don't disagree. I just Utah Coyotes keep the same swag, everything. But I guess it's Utah, it's new, it's whatever. But yeah, Wolf
beef. I think
What's that?
Anyway, I said those 4 corner states they got beef anyway. I don't think they can.
Yeah, it's funny too because hockey club, it doesn't really bother me unless it's like the handful of times that I've had to write an article about the hockey club, and it's like you don't just want to say Utah the whole time, but I don't really want to say like just hockey club either. Like it's weird when you're writing about it because it's just like I don't really know what to call them when I'm writing. Like it's just annoying. Utah. Yeah.
Unnecessarily.
Yeah. It's weird. But the weirder part is that we're not even talking about their game yet. And that was a fun little side note, though. The Vancouver Canucks in Nashville. That is a normal time, 9:10, which still isn't normal, but it is normal when it comes to this great league of ours. Plus 125 now are the Vancouver Canucks. Minus 150 now are the Nashville Predators. Plus 1.5 are the Canucks, minus 215. Minus 1.5 for Nashville is plus 172. The over is 5.5 at minus 118. And the under is minus 104. I got to say, Andre, you do this show with me every day. People who are watching, watch me talk about this league every day. I have never understood why Nashville has been such big favorites. No matter how bad they have been, there are always at least one game a week where they are massive, massive favorites. And I gotta say, I kind of understand it with this one. And I don't quite know what to do with it because everything inside of me is saying you cannot take Nashville. But how, like, Vancouver, do we trust what they're... I don't even know what's going on over there. That bombshell by Jim Rutherford the other day just completely... Everyone's trying to deny this, like, Pettersson-Miller feud, and the president just comes right out and says, oh, yeah, there's a problem, and it's not fixable. It's like, okay... Thank you. Everyone's trying to like deny it. And I actually appreciate it. Like I'm here for it. I think that's the right way to go about business. But and it's interesting too, because you would think it'd be done by now, but the league is telling you that nobody wants either of these two guys. Is that basically what we're hearing? It's like nobody, like you thought the interest would be higher, but nobody's interested. Anyway, what do you see in this game? How do you feel about it?
I'm right there with you yet again. I don't trust anything about this Canucks team. And Nashville, to their credit, they beat the Canucks 5-3 in November. They beat them 3-0 earlier this month. So during the best of times, during the worst of times, the Predators have picked up multi-goal wins against this Vancouver club. They've been rolling a bit lately. I know they're coming off a loss, but I think they get back on track. This has been a team that's been better at home all season. This is a Vancouver team. Granted, a couple of wins now, but what we're seeing from them a lot more frequently lately, losses. Uncompetitive losses at that. I'm taking I'm taking Nashville minus 1.5.
Minus 1.5. Okay. Yeah. I'm not taking a side in this game. What was that total again? Yo, there's a lot of 5.5 these days, eh? Be interested to look deeper into that. I probably take the under here. Minus 104. Nashville has been scoring more lately, specifically Stamkos has been picking it up. I think I like the under 504 or 5.5 at 104. When it comes to a side, man, I don't trust either of these teams. I think you're on the right track with Nashville, but I just can't get there. I can't really get there with the props either. Like Philip Forsberg's had a really down year. I don't really know who to bet. Like the one guy that I can pretty much safely bet and feel comfortable about is Quinn Hughes. Like he's like the only consistency that this team has. He is plus 420 to score. For him to get 3+ shots is minus 114. That's a really good bet. I like that one a lot. Minus 114 for 3+ shots. And for him to get a point. Oh, okay. Minus 235. I didn't see him up there. I was like scrolling down. I was like, oh, this could be good. Yeah, 2+ points plus 220 for Quinn Hughes. I don't know about that. So, yeah, Quinn Hughes 3+ shots minus 114. I don't hate that at all. But other than that, I can't bet on this Vancouver team. I'll just take the under. I will say for Nashville, I talked about this, right? If you have any hope at all of making it to the playoffs, it's the stretch before the Four Nations. They're 7-3-0 in their last 10 games. They lost their last game, as you've mentioned. 43 points, 12 points back of Calgary for that last wild card spot. Vancouver has 54 points. So you win this game, you keep Vancouver from moving up on you. St. Louis is losing. Utah's playing Pittsburgh. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, it's a big game if you're Nashville, and if you have any belief at all that you can make a run here. This is a really big game tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, we outlined their path last week pretty nicely. So this is a huge game for them, like you just said.
Yeah, big time. Moving on to, I don't even know anymore, man. This Pittsburgh team, like, this is just going to be it. Like, this is their year. This is the way it is. They are going to win like 5 in a row, and then they're going to lose like 3 or 4 in a row. And then that's going to be their year. After finally putting themselves back in the playoff conversation, they have lost 3 in a row. They're 3-7 in their last 10. And to be quite honest with you, I haven't really I don't remember. I haven't looked this up. Just in my brain, I just feel like they're getting dummied by everybody. Like they just get dummied by the Sharks? They got dummied by the Kings last week. Was it the Kings? Or did they dummy the Kings? I don't know. I just feel like Pittsburgh is getting trounced by. Okay, yeah. I just feel like Pittsburgh is getting beaten by everybody badly right now. Pittsburgh plus 116 on the road in Utah. Minus 138 are the Hockey Club at home. Minus 1.5 for Utah's plus 176. Plus 1.5 for the Penguins, minus 220. The over 6.5 is plus 112. And the under is minus 138. What do you got, bro? Pittsburgh, Utah. I feel like a bunch of these games are just it's I don't know, kind of a hard slate, it feels like.
I would agree with you, but I think you kind of buried the lead with the Penguins here. After destroying the Kings, they proceeded to lose 5-1 to the Ducks, 4-1 to the Kraken, and 2-1 to the San Jose Sharks. And they're still on the road. This is the 7th game in a row on the road. And they're facing a team that beat them 6-1 in November. Utah, for whatever reason, this is a team that cannot play in Canada at all. But the last time they were home, 5-2 win over the Jets. Time before that, 4-2 win over the Blues. I think the Hockey Club has been considerably better than the Penguins. Obviously, what you see with the Penguins offensively is pretty much no production. Their defense and goaltending has been a mess for most of the season. If you look at the plus minus, I guess not the leaderboards, but the bottom of the bunch, it's a lot of Penguins on that list. You got Rust, minus 22. It's 836 out of 842 players in the league, or 843 that have played this season. Crosby and Malkin, both minus 19. That's 832nd. Raquel, minus 17. Joseph, Carlson, I guess Joseph's minus 17. Also, Carlson and Bunting are both minus 16. They have a lot of players in Blackhawks and Sharks territory, to say the least. It's been rough. I'm taking the Hockey Club -1.5 here, and I'm taking the over.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. The total scares me a little bit, simply because if it was 5.5, Utah wins 5-1. You laid it out. What were those last three games? 5-1, 4-1, 2-1. Is that what you just said for Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
5-1, 4-1, 2-1.
Against bad teams.
What do all those things have in common? One goal for Pittsburgh in each of the last three games. I don't like that at all when it comes to this over. Like I said, the 5, if it was 5.5, like all the other games, I think I would take the over because I could see a 5-1, 5-2 Utah win here. Or sorry, 5-1 like Utah win. I just don't trust Pittsburgh to score. So I'll probably lean over with you. But that the way Pittsburgh's been shooting the puck lately makes me nervous on that. So I'll take the Utah Wasatch or whatever it's called. I forget already. -1.5 plus 176 is pretty good value. And you know what? To talk about that, like you lose 5-1, you lose 4-1 against bad teams. Then you play the Sharks. The Sharks only won 2-1, but Pittsburgh was never really in that game, in my opinion. I thought the Penguins got outplayed from basically start to finish, and I thought that was the Sharks game all day long. So yeah, you only lost 2-1. But it easily could have been a wider margin than that. Just to update everybody really quickly as the three games have gotten underway. The Panthers-Kings, 10 minutes left in the first period. Panthers up 1-0. So if you still like the Kings, they are now plus 215. Flyers-Devils. Those odds have turned a little bit 0-0, 10 minutes left in the first, -178 for the Devils, plus 138 for the Flyers. The Wild are up 1-0 on the Maple Leafs, -170 for the Wild, plus 132 for the Maple Leafs. Pretty good value there for the Leafs to come back and grab the win. Let's move on to our best bets. We were going to kind of talk about the Eastern Conference. I think we've covered a lot today. Tomorrow, full slate again, as always, on a Thursday night. The Jets are in Boston. The Wild are in Montreal. Capitals are in Ottawa. The Kings are in Tampa Bay. Blackhawks, Hurricanes, Islanders and Flyers, Ducks, Flames, Red Wings, Oilers, Blue Jackets, Golden Knights, Sharks, Kraken. Full. Did I say Sharks? That's a different thing. Sharks and Sharks are different. Although I was going to say a shark would make you shark, but I don't think that's true. I think you just full out like crap yourself, right? If you saw a shark, I don't think it'd be a shark. I think it'd be full on. If you see a shark, dude, which I will never do because I don't go in the ocean because it's not our home. And that's another conversation for another day. What about you? You an ocean guy? I can't get down with it.
I'm not, I'm a big Caribbean Sea guy,
Yeah.
Which is still not technically ocean. I've never seen a wild shark. Hopefully I never will. I don't think you're seeing many up in Canada either.
No.
Unless you go into Nova Scotia very often. I don't think you are.
Yeah. I mean, I know the East Coast is like known for its whales. Figure the West Coast, like BC, is probably more the shark area of Canada. Here, any body of water here, you'll probably find like an old shoe or something. But I don't know what else is in those lakes. I'll just say this, like, I love looking at the ocean. Like, I've been to California many times, been to PEI in Canada, been on the East Coast, been on the West Coast. Love looking at the ocean and, what's the meaning of life and all that. It's great. I'm not in the ocean. That's crazy. We don't belong in there. If it's a little bit morbid, but if you get attacked by wildlife in the ocean, that's like, of course, why wouldn't you? You're not in the right place. That's not your home. All right, moving on. No, that's not for you to be. Moving on to our best bets, brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Right now with our promo code Sports Addict, get 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store, including sales items. Ongoing sale up to 50% off. And with our promo code Sports Addict, that's up to 60% off selected cards in the store. They got some sales 20% off, well, 30% off, 40, 50, 50, 60. You get the idea. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today. Use promo code SportsAddict for 10% off your order. Firstroundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles. Sports cards for sports fans. Andre, what do you got? Only 2 games left to choose from. I mean, you could throw in a same game parlay if you want to, or not same game, a live game if you want to, but Vancouver, in Nashville, Pittsburgh, and Utah. What do you got?
Yeah, I can't bring myself to best bet Nashville puck line, so I'm going to go to Utah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. I'm just looking up something real quickly before I share my best bet. Give me 2 seconds here. Bear with me. All right. Quinn Hughes in his last 5 games, 3 shots, 2 shots, 3 shots, 2 shots, and 5 shots. If you watch this Vancouver team, pretty much the only consistent player, only consistent anything to do with this Vancouver team, other than that they all hate each other, is Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes just continues night after night to do what he can to get the job done. Ice time too, man. 24 minutes, 26 and a half minutes, 25 minutes, 26 minutes, 25 minutes. The guy's on the ice for almost half the game, every game, and is always around that 3 shots. 3 shots, 2 shots, 3 shots, 2 shots, 5 shots, like I said. So I love 3 shots for Quinn Hughes at minus 114. Let me double check that. It is minus 114. So minus money, but I do love that bet. Quinn Hughes, 3+ shots.
I love it. Not going to lie, I'm not opposed to not doing a family play. Just
yeah,
really
keep it simple.
Late, so we can do those too.
Yeah, keep it simple.
So we have at 9-10, Quinn Hughes, one of the best defensemen on the planet. 3+ shots on goal. Minus 150. I have it minus 115. Utah Hockey Club at 952. The puck line is plus 180. That 2 leg parlay is plus 423.
Wow. I had you beat by a point on the Quinn Hughes, but you're up on Utah. Yeah, we have it on FanDuel minus 1.5 is plus 176. So plus 418 is the parlay for FanDuel. Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate all of you for hanging out with us, whether you're watching on our YouTube or on Total Apex Sports Twitter account, X account. We appreciate that. If you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, then go on Twitter, Total Apex Sports, and follow them. And if you're watching on Total Apex Sports Twitter, go over to our YouTube, Pucks Across Borders, and give us a like and a subscribe as well. We'll be back tomorrow. Lots to get into, lots of important games, specifically in the Eastern Conference. We'll get into all of that. We'll talk about the games tonight, the games coming up tomorrow. Andre, great seeing you, bro. Appreciate you. Everybody watching, we appreciate you. TotalApexSports.com. Lots of great content going on over there. First Round Collectibles, promo code SportsAddict, 10% off your order. We will see you next time.